Many of us are returning from furlough leave for the first time. Some of us are finding that our employers are wanting to change our terms and conditions of employment in some way, and given how much the world and our workplaces have changed, that is understandable. However, there are ways that employers are expected to go about doing this, and the first thing that should happen is that you should be talked to or consulted with. That could be a one-to-one conversation, it could be with a group of people, or it could be through your trade union. In all cases, the intention is that your employer should be able to hear your ideas and your suggestions with a view to reaching some sort of an agreement. Where that doesn't work out, there are more extreme options available to an employer, and if you find yourself in those situations, it's best to talk to your trade union representative where you have one, or come to the ACAS website for advice, or talk to our ACAS helpline to discuss your options. Many employers are trying to bring as many people back to the workplace as they can, but they're facing restrictions on how many people can be there at any one time. To deal with that, some of them are now staggering their workplace shifts. If you're in that situation, broadly speaking, your workplace rights should be the same as ever. For example, everybody has a legal minimum right to a 20-minute unpaid break if they're working over 6 hours. However, it's always worth talking to your employer because many employers offer multiple breaks, longer breaks, paid breaks. The same thing applies to overtime. There might be less opportunity to take overtime at the moment because of the workplace number restrictions, but if you're home working or there are some quieter hours, there might be overtime available. It's worth talking to your employer to double check whether that's voluntary, whether it's mandatory, and what the rates of pay are. If you've got a holiday booked, and you've booked it before all the pandemic started, and your employer now wants to cancel it, that is something they can do just like with any holiday that you might have booked. However, they are required to give you double the notice period for the length of time that you have taken off. So if you've booked a 3-day holiday, your employer needs to give you at least 6 days notice that they're cancelling it. And keep in mind, it should always be for a good reason, and your employer still needs to give you an overall amount of holiday that you would normally have had. There are some special rules this year where an amount of that can be carried over into next year, but again, overall, you shouldn't be taking any less holiday than you would have done in the first place. For many of us going back to the workplaces at the moment, there are concerns about how safe it is, and that's understandable. Keep in mind that employers have had to follow a large number of rules and make a large number of adjustments to make sure that those workplaces are suitable for people to return to work, but that doesn't mean that you can't contact your manager, talk to your colleagues, and if there are some things that are concerning you, discussing what the options are. It might be that there are any number of ways to meet some of these rules and your employer just hasn't heard your suggestion yet. Finally, if you've been asked to return to work, but there's someone in your household that's showing signs of COVID, then what you do in that situation really hasn't changed. The first thing you need to do is go to the NHS website that's relevant to your country, fill out the details that they'll ask you on there, and if the situation applies, they will issue you with an isolation note that works in very much the same way as a sick note does. You send it on to your employer, and you would then take a period of sick pay or a period of sick leave. If you want to know any more about your rights on returning to work, it's well worth going to our ACAS website, which is www.acas.org.uk, or speaking to our helpline if you've got a specific concern.